लेते हैं। अभी हम लोग लाइव स्ट्रीम कर रहे हैं या नहीं, चेक कर रही हूँ मैं। Whether we are live streaming, yes we are. So फटाफट से देख लेते हैं। Yes, we are live streaming now. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. बहुत अच्छी बात है, हम लोग स्ट्रीम करना शुरू कर चुके हैं। Let's quickly share the message into all the Telegram groups so that everybody comes to know that we are live and streaming now. Okay, so let's get started. My name is Abhilasha and of course I'm your favorite VRC educator. I have been doing this Hindu editorial for quite a long time and it's very, very exciting to bring back a new upgraded version of it. If you haven't yet connected with me, connect with me on Telegram using AbhiCat or MBACat23. Both will work for you. Yes, today's article, Finding the First Americans. So we are going to be talking about who the first Americans were, how did they come by, and very interesting. This one is from Aeon Essays, and I hope you will find this as exciting as I found it. तो बिल्कुल शुरू कर देते हैं Aeon Editorials हमारा. चलो, so let's get started. The debate over how people first arrived in the Western Hemisphere continues to roil archaeology in United States. So there is a debate on how people first arrived in the Western Hemisphere, that is in the United States, etc. And this is something that is continuing to roil. Roil means to confuse. Okay. So they are confusing archaeology in the United States and to capture public attention. So look, guys, remember we have said that the very first line of a paragraph is very important because it points to the topic of the paragraph. So here we are, we've got the topic of the paragraph that we are going to be talking about how people arrived in the United States and how that is still arousing the attention of archaeologists and capturing public attention. So that's something that is very important. Today, the scientific community is contending with significant amounts of new genetic and archaeological data, and it can be overwhelming and even contradictory. So the scientific community is getting a lot of new data. It is both genetic and archaeological, and that data is very overwhelming. That means there's just a lot of data. So overwhelming means to be uh, submerged in something. There's so much of it that you cannot handle it. So you are overwhelmed by that data, and the data is also contradictory. So it is very different from what you have expected the data to be. Very surprising. These data are coming from new archaeological excavations, but also from the application of newly developed tools to reanalyze prior sites and artifacts. So the data is coming from two places. Number one, there are new archaeological excavations from where new data is coming. Also, because we have now new types of tools, so we are taking those new tools, we are analyzing the old sites and artifacts, and we are getting new data from there too. So two sources of data that we can find here. Okay. Then he says, good morning, Rahul. Good morning, Nihal. Good morning, Nimit. Lovely to have all of you here with me in this session. So they're coming from newly sequenced genomes from ancient peoples and their contemporary descendants, but also from reanalysis of prior sequence data using new modeling tools. So the data we've already said coming from new archaeological excavations to prior sites and artifacts, we are reapplying, we are using new tools to reanalyze the data. Then he says they're coming from newly sequenced genomes. So we have the ancient people and their descendants, and they're taking the genome sequencing and finding out more data. Also, we are taking prior genome sequencing data and we are putting it through newer modeling tools. And that is why we are getting some more data also. So we've got now 4 places from where data is coming. The generation of new data at time feels as though it's outpacing efforts to integrate it into coherent and testable models. Now, because there is such a lot of new data that is coming in, at times, and we had said earlier that you are overwhelmed by it. So what he's saying is that it at times feels as though it is outpacing efforts to integrate it into coherent and testable models. So if you want to put it into a testable and coherent model, the data is so much that you're not able to do it. Just the speed of the data is coming in at like 100,000 bytes and going and we are putting it into testable models at like 10 bytes. So बहुत सारा data है, there is a lot of data and there is very little to put it into. Okay, good morning Yash, good morning Akhil, wonderful to have all of you. So essentially this first paragraph is saying that now we have been confused over when people first arrived, how they arrived and so on. And today that there is a lot of data that is coming in, and so much data that it is very contradictory and very overwhelming. We are not able to analyze this data properly. Okay, we have data, but we are not analyzing it adequately because we cannot. There's just too much data. So that's the first paragraph. All right, so where did the first Americans arrive from? That's a question for us to ponder and think about. Where did the first Americans come from? Did they come from India? Did they come from Americas? Did they come from Europe? Did they come from South America? Where? All right, let's look at the second part of the passage. Did humans first populate the Americas 100,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, or 13,000 years ago? So when did they first populate? Did they come by boat or by an overland route? How did they come? Because the Americas are so isolated. So were they coming by overland route? If they came from the overland route, then it would have to be through the Bering Strait, and that means they came from Asia, right? From the Siberian portion. Were the ancestors of Native Americans from one population or several? So those people who are actually the Native Americans, their ancestors, they came from one place or they came from many places. The answers to these questions would help us understand the grand story of human evolution. So if we were able to answer these questions, we would be able to understand how human evolution took place. We know that the Americas were the last continents that anatomically modern Homo sapiens, humans like us, entered. But we don't know exactly how this happened. So we don't know. We know that Americas were the last continent that humans came to, but how did it happen? We have no idea. So this is the question that we are trying to find out. How did the Americas get populated? When and how? These long ago movements give us hints about the challenges ancient peoples across the world had to contend with during the last glacial maximum, LGM, a prolonged period of coldness and aridity. So now there must have been a challenge to travel across the world. Obviously today we have planes and this and that, but during that last glacial maximum, which was a very cold period and very dry period, people would have found it very difficult to travel. So how did they then come to the Americas? Okay. When animals, plants and humans retreated to environmental refugia for several thousand years. So humans and everybody just hid somewhere. They took refuge in certain places. How did we survive this ice age? That's another question. What technological and biological adaptations arose as a result of those environmental conditions? So many questions that the writer is asking, very rhetorical. Remember, a rhetorical question is a question that we ask but we don't really expect an answer from. Okay. Now, these questions capture the popular imagination and challenge the scientists working to uncover the details of individual lives thousands of years in the past. So these are the questions that the scientists who are trying to find the human evolution or the details of human evolution, that's what they're working on. When did these people happen? How did they happen? What what adaptations happened because it was so cold in the last LGM and so on. To their indigenous descendants, the stories we tell about these first peoples of the Americas are highly relevant for additional reasons. So to the indigenous people, that means the Native Americans, the stories we have are very highly relevant. Now, what are these additional reasons why these stories are highly relevant? So now we are talking of the relevance of the evolution stories to the Native Americans. Their deep ties and claims to the lands have often been ignored or expunged by governments, media and corporations. So, because they have very deep ties and they have claims to the land, but they have been ignored or they have been just totally removed by government, by media, by corporations across North and South America in order to make room for narratives. So, they want to bring in stories that are more palatable, exciting or convenient to certain non-native groups. Well, the white people, when they came in, they pushed out the natives. So now they do not want that they should be presented as someone who troubled the people or who harassed the people or who drove out the natives. So therefore the rhetoric or the narrative is the narrative of the original people has been hidden or pushed away to bring about these non-native narratives. The historical exclusion of indigenous peoples from making decisions about research on their own ancestors and lands has caused significant harms to native communities and individuals. So because these people have been excluded from making decisions about research also and researching on their own ancestors and lands, this has caused significant harm to native communities and individuals. So they don't know their data. When native scientists and community members are full participants in the research process, the stories that emerge are not only more respectful but also more accurate. So the writer is saying that because the native people, the indigenous people had been pushed out by the settlers, so their stories were hidden. And also because the research has not been undertaken by them, so their stories are still hidden. So when they will be included in the research process or when they are included in the research process, the stories are actually more respectful, they are more accurate, they're actually representative of the real truth and not the whitewashed truth as we know it. What an interesting story. Nimit, we'll definitely tell the writer to go through evolution, but this is a very wonderful article on the population of the Americas. Very, very interesting Aeon essays. I was just going through it in the morning, found it very, very exciting. Guys, I hope everybody has hit the like button. If you haven't, then please do hit the like button. Alright, so one question that is there, have the natives been fairly treated? Okay, anyone? Any answers to that very quickly? Have the natives been treated fairly? Give me a yes or a no very quickly in the comments. Good morning Karan, good morning Alok, Isha. Wonderful to have all of you. Very quickly tell me if the natives have been fairly treated. I'm going on to the questions. Here we are, our first question. What's the main idea of the passage? Well, see, whenever we are reading, the first thing that we want to find out is what is this passage all about, right? So the main idea or the theme or the central idea or the purpose of the author, these are the first questions that come to our mind. Why has he written this? What does he want to tell you? Okay, so let's find out. When did the modern humans first come to America? Who was the first to settle the Americas and how many years ago were the Americas settled? Which of these is the main idea of the passage? What is it that we are trying to explore here? When did modern humans first come to America? Who was the first to settle the Americas? And how many years ago were the Americas settled? Come on. Very quickly. Karan says C. Others, come on, let's get your answers in. Fatafat se answer de do. And everybody please hit the like button. Okay. Nimit is saying my answer is also the same, no difference. Well, the correct answer here is the passage is trying to explore when did the modern humans first come to America and how did they come? Okay, so when and how, and therefore the correct answer will be A. So when did the modern humans first come to America? Yes, Anuj, Rahul, very good. Alright, the second question. Each of the following is true except. Remember, whenever we are doing true except, the answer will be true plus except will always be false. False plus except will always be true. So the minute you see the true except, you know you're looking for an answer that's going to be false. So very quickly, tell me from the passage which of these is false, and that's going to be your correct answer. LGM was a period of prolonged coldness and aridity. Newly sequenced genomes are giving more data than can be compiled, and the first humans populated Americas before 200,000 years. Very quickly. Okay, I started getting in my answers for question number 2. Rahul says C. Abhijit says C. I'm getting answers now very quickly, everyone. What? I hope everybody has hit the like button. If you haven't, then please make sure you hit the like button. Your likes will actually bring our session up to the front, and that's something that we really want. All right. LGM was a period of prolonged coldness and aridity was mentioned to be true in the passage. Newly sequenced genomes are also giving more data than can be compiled was also true. The first humans populated Americas before 100,000 years. That was what the passage had said. Okay, and therefore the C option is false, and that's why it's going to be the correct answer. Let's look at the next question. This is going to be the last one. Which one of the following is the tone of the author towards the native or indigenous Americans? Is he acrimonious and bitter? Is he belligerent and angry? Is he cautious and optimistic? Is he sympathetic and hopeful? Very quickly. Come on. The tone of the author towards the Native Americans. What does he feel about them? Is he acrimonious and bitter? Is he belligerent and angry? Is he cautious and optimistic? Or is he sympathetic and hopeful? Because we are in the initial throes of our classes, we will first of all look at these questions, the tone questions, the main idea questions, the factual questions. Then we will graduate to inferential questions, application questions, critical reasoning questions one by one. All right. So let's take a look. Okay, I've started getting my answers. Well, clearly the author is feeling not acrimonious or bitter, or neither is he feeling belligerent and angry. He says that these people have been cheated out of their history, right? And that if they take part in the research process, the research will be more genuine. So then clearly between C and D, he is not being cautious. Okay, he is being sympathetic and hopeful. So the correct answer should be D, sympathetic and hopeful. Yes, I can see a lot of correct answers. Akhil, Abhijit, Rahul, Karan, Click YT. Rahul is like, I'm going to give you 2 answers. Now you can choose whichever one you want, ma'am. Wonderful. All right, here are some of my top selections in the top B schools. If you wish to be here in one of these pictures, all you have to do is stay with me for my classes throughout the year. Here is a list of our Unacademy toppers for CAT 2022. Here's 75 plus learners in 99 percentile, 110 plus learners in 98 percentile. List of all our toppers. The 0 to Zenith batch started on 5th of January. If you wish to join it again, still, you have our code, that's AbhiCat Live. I'm also going to be teaching in this batch. The USPs of this batch are 1 subscription to access all batches, structured courses, 25,000 plus practice questions, 100 plus mock tests, in-class doubt solving, educator curated notes and study material, and mentorship from CAT experts and IIM graduates. If you haven't yet joined the 0 to Zenith batch, you can join it right away. Subscribe using this code AbhiCat Live. Okay, our Dream Big for 23 offer is still going on till the 6th of January. So you have to get 23% off on all our subscriptions. Just have to take 23% off by using my code, that's AbhiCat Live. The perfect score batch for repeaters is starting on the 16th of January. So anyone who has written CAT but wishes to restart their preparation, this is a wonderful course for you. The code for this is AbhiCat Live. Again, you can subscribe using it right away. Now, the USP of this batch is going to be that the syllabus will be completed by May 23, followed by 6 months of extensive revision and practice, and all the other USPs are the same as the previous batch. Now, if you have started writing, if you have started getting calls to CAT 22, well, we are coming up with the GDPI offering, GDs, PIs, and WATs starting from the 10th of January. The Unacademy CAT subscription has two types of subscriptions. We have the Plus subscription and the Iconic subscription. In the Plus subscription, we have digital notes, unlimited access, interactive live structured courses and PDFs, open house, Unacademy community, live test, ask a doubt, and so on. If you wish to take some extra features also, then the Iconic subscription is for you, where you get physical notes, GDPI and WAT, one-to-one live mentorship, live doubt solving, test analysis, expert guidelines, and Discord, along with all the plus benefits. So if you wish to take a subscription right away, ले लो. अभी 6th January तक ये offer चल रहा है, 23% off on using AbhiCat Live. Now, my special classes will happen at 5 p.m. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So please do join me for these. We'll have a lot of fun preparing for CAT 23. Thank you so much. I hope you have all hit like, share, and subscribe. And just to remind you, AbhiCat Live to get your 23% till the 6th of January. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a nice day. I will see you on Friday now. We will meet at 10 a.m. for this Hindu Aeon editorial. Goodbye. God